You know, the coolest tribute that I've ever seen from a team honoring a returning player was when Toronto honored Kawhi Leonard when he came back as a member of the Clippers. Reliving that Game 7 shot, retracing his footsteps with a spotlight, all the way to that corner when he hit the first Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA playoffs history.
What the game winner!
The most dramatic moment of last season was a nightmare for the 76ers. It created, about a million memes of Joel Embiid crying, but it also created a lot of hope for Sixers fans, surprisingly. I mean, they were 4 bounces away from facing the Bucks. Had they gotten through Milwaukee, a title was theirs. So what the hell then is going on this season? The 2020 76ers are so confusing that they can whoop up on Milwaukee Christmas Day and have the same road record as the New York Knicks. Jimmy Butler is out here trying to recruit Joel Embiid out of Philly. After Embiid tweeted a Dark Knight quote about becoming a villain, Jimmy Buckets said, "I know a place where villains are welcomed." And is that where this is headed for the 76ers? Or can they eventually get it together and finish what those 4 bounces ended? Hey guys, it's Casey Kiernan, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Check out the AM Hoops podcast wherever you listen to podcasts too. Hit subscribe because on the YouTube, we're coming out with quality NBA videos Monday through Friday. They drop at 6 Eastern. Say what's up over on Twitter at Casey Kiernan and on IG at AM Hoops. First, let's get this out of the way. Something is very wrong with this Sixers team. Since December 27th, they're 10-11, 28th in the NBA in points per game at just 106.2. The Al Horford fit has gone from bad to worse. He was held scoreless for the first time in 835 games in January. And speaking of Al, he did more than just hint that there's an issue. He straight up said so at practice.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff going on in our locker room, and we'll keep that internal. But we all know we need to be better, and we need to step it up.
The on-court fit has been a question mark for this team for a while, but lately leadership is becoming a bigger issue. I mean, Josh freaking Richardson somehow is this team's vocal leader. Recently, he said, "Everybody's got a different role in the team, and stepping up in the vocal leadership role might be my thing." Seriously? The team that is supposedly built around Joel Embiid and the new guys are forced to be leaders? Another issue is Ben Simmons' refusal to take threes. Look, we saw him working in the offseason on his shot. Gave a lot of hope. He made that 3 in the preseason. People freaked out. Made 1 in the regular season. Brett Brown challenged him to take at least 1 per game. Then he went back to being the same guy he's been since his rookie year. Look, Simmons' lack of a jump shot makes fans blind to the fact that he's elite at pretty much everything else, and we really have seen him raise his game, especially in those periods while Joel Embiid is out. He stepped up defensively, easily a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Still, there are issues, and at least GM Elton Brand isn't pretending like nothing's going on.
We have the pieces on this team, and we will make it fit. It hasn't fit at times, but again, it's baffling to us all, and we have a lot of work to do to have the best record at home in the entire NBA, and then to play how we've been playing on the road. Like we're not happy about that. I'm extremely disappointed. We're extremely disappointed. The players understand that they have to do better. Coaching staff, myself, my staff, the whole organization know we have to do better.
Okay, so the GM says they'll make it fit. Well, for some people, that's not good enough. They want them to blow this team up. Choose either Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, and to me, that would be a huge mistake. Instead, blow up the team around Simmons and Embiid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get why most people think that the Sixers should break up Embiid and Simmons. It hasn't worked so far. They see a team with a lot of talent, but an awkward fit. Both guys score a ton in the paint. Joel Embiid wants to play a half-court game in the post, while Simmons wants to go fast downhill in transition. And it doesn't help that, like we mentioned, while one is out, the team seems to play better. This last stretch while Embiid was out with that finger injury, ouch, they went 6-3. But when you look closer, they beat some pretty bad teams, including Chicago, New York, and Brooklyn twice. So what is the answer? I'll tell you what the answer is not, and that is breaking up Embiid and Simmons. Whatever you would get back in a trade for either one of those guys wouldn't be close to equal value. You would lose that trade 9 times out of 10. The fact is that these guys are still young. Ben is just 23 years old, Embiid is just 25. Remember, Michael Jordan didn't get to the finals till he was 28 years old. They've still got time to grow into leaders and into a style of basketball that works. Ownership has done its part in the last year plus. The Sixers have spent a ton of money on pieces that were supposed to unlock the potential of Simmons and Embiid. After trading Rocco and Dario Saric for Jimmy Butler, Elton Brand spent 2 first-round picks and Landry Shamet for Tobias Harris. After that didn't work, they invested hundreds of millions to sign Al Horford and re-sign Harris, plus that Heat trade that added Josh Richardson. You got the concept of all those moves, right? I mean, the idea was to space the floor, unlock the potential of Embiid and Simmons, and then boom, you're on to the NBA Finals. Here's why it has not worked. The 3 new guys have combined to shoot just 34.3% from downtown. Harris, Richardson, and Horford all on pace to have their worst shooting season from downtown in 3 years. And we mentioned how bad the Sixers have been recently. Well, since December 27th, they're 28th in three-point percentage. That kills their floor spacing even more. Bottom line, guys just aren't hitting shots. They need shooters around Simmons and Embiid. So you could call all that bad luck, or maybe it's poor choices and roster construction from the front office. Whatever it is, the Sixers did luck into one guy, and his name is Furkan Korkmaz.
It's a beautiful thing, Furkan Korkmaz.
In mid-January, he capped off back-to-back 30-plus point games, and without him, they would have lost to the Chicago Bulls at home. Somehow on a team with $400 million players, Korkmaz needs to go off or they're screwed. So maybe a lot of these issues come from the front office, but you do have to tip your cap to the front office for what they did at the NBA trade deadline. They made the most out of a bad situation. They're hard capped because of the sign and trade involving Jimmy Butler, so they couldn't take on any more salary, so they got creative and effective. They added 2 minimum players in Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III from the Warriors to add more shooting and depth. We don't know the impact those guys will have just yet, but on paper, it looks really smart. And so with Burks and Robinson, the Sixers are rolling with what they got the rest of the way. And here's why fans shouldn't freak out just yet. Joel Embiid himself told the fans to chill out. Actually, he said to shut the up the other day. Fans at home, surprise, surprise, in Philly, booing Embiid and the team, who were struggling against the Bulls, after Embiid hit the dagger 3, 4-letter words for the home crowd.
I mean, I don't care how it looks. I'm just playing basketball and, just getting back to myself, just being a good just playing basketball and just trying to dominate. Thank you.
But that episode reinforced the fact that, yes, there is an elite team in there somewhere. How else do you explain the best home record in the NBA, including wins over the Bucks, the Lakers, and the Celtics twice? There is a switch to be flipped with this team. And so much is being made about home court advantage in the playoffs for this team. Like if they don't get one of the top 4 seeds, they'll get bounced in the first round. I get it, they've got a bad road record, as bad as the New York Knicks, but if they win one of the first 2 home games in a playoff series, they steal home court advantage. Just win the rest of their home games and they win the series. That's how home court advantage works. I really think that the Sixers having home court in the playoffs is being way overblown. Also, the playoffs are about defense. I mean, part of the hope that Sixers fans have is having the best 1-2 punch in the Eastern Conference. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid aren't just great offensively, but defensively. For example, in last year's 7-game series against Toronto, 6 of the 7 games saw the loser held to 96 points or less. Philly's already got a top 5 defense. It's gonna have a much bigger impact in the postseason. But hey, if I'm wrong, maybe they will blow it up, and word is that they'll probably trade Joel Embiid. I suggested that the Sixers trade Embiid to the Warriors for D'Angelo Russell and their top 3 pick, but of course that ain't happening now. But if I'm right and there is a switch to be flipped, then this Sixers team, as currently constructed, can challenge the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.